Hello and welcome back to the Deep Dive. Before we get started today, I just want to make a quick disclaimer that this podcast is distributed completely free of charge on all major platforms, and it's purely for educational purposes. We're here to learn, to explore, and to share, and we aren't charging a dime for admission to the rabbit hole.
That's right. The only price of admission is an open mind.
And maybe a little bit of patience with your own reality, because today we have a vibe check that is a little distinct.
Oh, yeah.
I want to set the scene for you listening right now. Imagine a rainy Monday night in 1964. It's dark outside, maybe a little spooky.
Well, chilling, yeah.
We are about to mix the absolute heights of metaphysics. We're talking the consciousness of atoms, dream telepathy, the very fabric of the universe.
Right.
Something incredibly, incredibly mundane.
It really is the perfect intersection of the cosmic and the ordinary. It's, humorous, but it's also deeply profound.
Exactly. We are talking about how the consciousness of a subatomic particle relates to a sore wrist from using the wrong typewriter.
It sounds absurd when you put it that way, but that is the beauty of this material, isn't it?
It is.
It bridges that gap between the infinite and just, the annoying little aches and pains of daily life.
It's a relaxed, slightly chilling deep dive today. We're going to be exploring session 98 of the early sessions, book 3 of the Seth Material. And the date of record is October 19th, 1964. It's a Monday, 9:00 p.m.
And just to situate everyone, because context is everything with these sessions, the medium is Jane Roberts, who the entity Seth refers to as Ruburt.
Right, Ruburt.
And her husband, Robert Butts, who Seth calls Joseph, is there transcribing everything in shorthand.
But the mood in the apartment that night isn't exactly zen, is it?
Not at all. And I think that's crucial for you to understand. This isn't a guru sitting on a mountaintop in perfect bliss.
No.
Jane is stressed. She's grumpy. She skipped her nap, which, anyone who naps knows that is a recipe for disaster.
That's dangerous territory right there.
Very. And on top of all that, she has this physical worry. She's found a lump, a hard little nodule on her wrist, and she is spiraling a little bit about what it could be. So you have this real human tension in the room before Seth even comes through.
And yet, out of that very tension comes some of the most fascinating insights about how we construct our own reality.
It always does.
So here is our mission statement for this deep dive. We are going to explore 3 distinct but definitely connected threads from this single session.
Okay.
First, we're going to look at the mechanics of dream telepathy specifically, a comedy of errors involving a bathtub and a hurricane.
Classic mix-up.
It really is. Second, we're going to look at what I'm calling the social life of atoms.
I love that.
Do particles have friends? Do they have goals? According to Seth, yes.
Yeah, they do.
And finally, we're going to look at the fist of fear. How fear can physically manufacture disease in the body, and how a doctor's casual suggestion can be a really dangerous thing if you aren't careful.
It's a journey from the astral plane down to the atomic level and then right back into the human body.
So let's unpack this. I want to start with the mystery of the tub.
The tub.
The tub. This is a callback to a previous session, isn't it? Jane had this dream about her friend, Marie Tubbs.
Right.
And the dream involved a tub and lots of water.
Okay, so let's look at the surface level first. Seth, in his interpretation at the time, made a logical, or what seemed like a logical leap.
Sure.
He connected Marie, tub, and water, and suggested that, perhaps Marie was giving birth.
Which makes sense. Water breaking, the tub as a symbol of the womb or birth, something like that.
Yeah, if you told me you dreamed of water in a tub regarding a female friend, you'd probably flip through a dream dictionary and land on pregnancy.
Absolutely.
It fits the archetypes. But then reality came knocking. Jane, being the diligent researcher she was, she wrote a letter to Marie to check on this.
Basically asking, hey, are you having a baby?
Pretty much. And Marie writes back, and you can just imagine the confusion on her face. She says, what? No, I haven't been involved in childbirth for 2 years.
So on the surface, it looks like a total miss.
It looks like Seth got it wrong. The psychic wires got crossed.
But this is where it gets really interesting and why we're even talking about it. Marie's letter goes on to say that while she wasn't having a baby, she had just been on a cruise to Bermuda.
A cruise.
A giant floating tub.
Exactly. And not only that.
There's more.
There's more. She was on this cruise during Hurricane Cleo. So plenty of water, as Marie herself put it. The storm went right through them.
Wow. So the symbols were dead on water and a tub or a boat, but the event itself was a vacation, not a birth.
Right. But the fascinating part, the part that gives us a glimpse into how consciousness actually works, is how Jane picked up this information.
Because she didn't just remote view the cruise ship, right? She didn't like fly out of her body and hover over the deck of the ship in the middle of a hurricane.
No. And Seth is very, very specific about this. He calls it incidental knowledge. He explains that it wasn't direct observation of the event at all.
So what was it?
It was a game of telepathic telephone.
Okay, walk us through that chain of transmission, because I think this is so cool. It totally changes how we think about privacy and thought.
All right, so let's break it down step by step according to Seth. Step 1. Marie goes on the cruise. She experiences the hurricane.
Yeah.
She has the raw physical data.
Got it. The event happens.
Step 2. She comes home and she tells her friends about the trip. She narrativizes it. She turns the raw experience into a story.
Which is just standard human behavior.
Exactly. Step 3. That night, Marie sleeps. And in her dream, she is retelling the story to her friends again. She is processing the social interaction of telling the story.
So Marie's dreaming about telling the story she already told.
Precisely. And step 4, Jane, in her dream state, tunes in. But she doesn't tune into the physical cruise ship. She tunes into Marie's dream of the cruise conversation.
Whoa. So she's eavesdropping on a dream.
She's eavesdropping on a dream about a conversation about an event. It's 3 layers deep.
That's incredible.
And in that transmission, the symbols get a little muddy. The boat becomes a tub, which is funny because Marie's last name is Tubb, so there's a pun there too.
I didn't even catch that.
And the hurricane just becomes water.
It's like the signal degraded a little bit, or the symbolism just got layered on top. It's like playing a game of telephone. The telephone line is running through the collective subconscious mind.
And Seth says, and I'll quote this because it's so clear, this was incidental knowledge picked up telepathically when the woman in question described her journey rather than from the trip itself.
It really makes you wonder how much of our own dreaming is actually just us channel surfing through other people's subconscious broadcasts. I mean, have you ever had a dream that just felt not yours?
All the time. And this suggests that our private mental space isn't private at all. It's a broadcast station.
Wow.
And Rob, the transcriber, he asks a really sharp question here in the notes. He asks, were these 2 dreams simultaneous? Like, was Jane dreaming this at the exact same moment Marie was dreaming it?
And what does Seth say?
In your time, yes.
That's a chilling thought, isn't it? That right now, while we sleep, we might be synced up with someone else watching their internal movies.
It dissolves the boundaries of the individual ego a little bit, doesn't it? We tend to think of our minds as these sealed vaults.
Totally.
But Seth is painting a picture of a much more porous reality. We leak. Our thoughts, our dreams, our experiences, they radiate out. And if someone has the right frequency, like Jane did, they just pick it up.
And then they misinterpret it and think you're having a baby.
Exactly. Which is the human element. The signal is pure, but the reception is colored by our own associations. Jane associates Marie plus water plus tub with birth. That was her filter.
It's fascinating because it implies that telepathy isn't this precision instrument where you get a fax of the exact data.
Yeah.
It's an art of interpretation. You get the emotional flavor, the intensity of the hurricane, the vessel, but your brain has to fill in the gaps with its own symbols.
Right, and Seth emphasizes that this wasn't an intentional projection by Marie, nor was it an intentional scan by Jane. It was incidental. They just happened to be on the same wavelength. And it happens constantly. We walk through life picking up these stray signals, and most of the time we just dismiss them as random thoughts or weird daydreams.
So that's the mental landscape. We're all just swimming in a sea of shared telepathy. But then Seth pivots. He goes from the macro, the dream world, down to the absolute micro. He starts talking about the nature of matter itself.
This is one of my favorite parts of the session because he just challenges our fundamental view of the physical world. He starts talking about electrons and atoms, but not the way a physicist would.
No, he talks about them like they are people, or at least like they're living entities with agency.
He says, and this is a quote, atoms and molecules possess consciousness to a degree, as do electrons, of course.
Of course. I love how he throws that in there. Like, obviously, the electron is conscious. Why would you ever assume otherwise?
For him, it is obvious. If consciousness is the primary force of the universe, then everything has to be made of it.
Yeah.
But he goes further. He talks about why atoms form molecules. Why does matter even stick together?
Yeah, in standard physics, we talk about forces, electromagnetism, strong nuclear force, stuff like that. We talk about charges attracting, but Seth frames it totally differently.
He introduces this concept of value fulfillment.
Value fulfillment. That sounds like a corporate HR term or something.
It does, doesn't it? Like, are you meeting your value fulfillment KPIs this quarter? But in this context, it's cosmic. He says that atoms combine into molecules not by accident, and not just because of blind physical forces, but voluntarily.
Voluntarily. You mean like, hey, you seem cool, let's form a water molecule.
Basically, yes. He says no combinations or coming togethers are accidental. They join to form more complicated gestalts or wholes in order to fulfill their own potential.
So an atom wants to experience more, to be more.
Exactly. So it joins with others to become a molecule. That molecule joins with others to become a cell. That cell becomes part of a tissue, and so on.
So in a way, my body is just a massive cooperative enterprise of trillions upon trillions of tiny consciousnesses that all agreed to hang out together.
That is exactly what it is. And Seth implies they have a better social life than we do. Their relationships are based on value fulfillment. They help each other achieve a higher state of complexity. They want to build the structure that is you.
I joke about atoms having a better social life, but there's something really profound there. It suggests that the universe isn't a cold, mechanical, random machine.
No.
It's a living, breathing, choosing organism at every single scale.
It removes the randomness, removes the idea that we are just a fluke of chemistry. And this leads directly to what Seth calls the camouflage universe.
Okay, let's dive into this. This is the deep end.
He describes the physical universe, the stuff we touch, this table, the microphone, as a camouflage pattern.
Camouflage for what? What's it hiding?
Energy, pure energy. He says that energy adopts form in order to manipulate this universe. But the solidity, the rigidity, that's an illusion of our perspective.
Well, he talks about rigidity being relative.
Yes. He says, and this is another quote, what appears rigid to your perception will not appear as rigid from other viewpoints outside of your system.
Help us visualize that. What does that mean?
Okay, a good analogy is a spinning fan blade. To us, looking at it when it's on high speed, it looks like a solid disc. You can't put your hand through it, right?
Right. It seems totally rigid. It reflects light like a solid object.
But if you were moving at a different speed, say the speed of the blade itself, or looking from a different angle in time, you'd see it's mostly just empty space.
So our physical reality is just a specific frequency of spinning fan blades that we happen to be in sync with.
Exactly. We're locked into a specific time rate, so things look solid to us. But then Seth mentions something that sounds like straight-up science fiction. He talks about interdimensional traffic.
Traffic. Like rush hour in the fourth dimension.
Kind of. He says, effects which appear within your system represent speeds and velocities of activities or acts that actually have their origin from without your system.
So, things are passing through our reality.
All the time.
Mm.
But because they are moving at a different velocity of consciousness, we might not see them at all. Or we might just register a sudden electromagnetic fluctuation, a weird feeling.
Ghost cars on the cosmic highway.
Passing right through us. We might feel a chill or a magnetic anomaly, but to them we might be the ghosts. Or we might just be empty space they pass through, because their density is totally different from ours.
It really changes how you look at empty space. It's not empty, it's just full of things we aren't tuned into.
Precisely. And this isn't just abstract philosophy for him. Seth ties this directly back to the structure of the human self.
And that connects back to the atom, doesn't it? Later in the session, after they take a break, Seth makes this incredible analogy between the structure of an atom and the structure of the human mind.
Yes. This is the nucleus theory. It's such beautiful geometry. He compares the inner self, your core identity, to the nucleus of an atom.
Okay, the center.
And he says your subconscious mind is like the radiation spreading outward from that nucleus. It's the field around the core.
Right.
And your conscious mind, the part of you listening to this deep dive right now, the part that decides what to eat for lunch, is just the furthest reach, the outer radius of that entire field.
So we are walking force fields.
We are. And he says, intelligence does not need so massive a house. He's reminding Rob that size doesn't matter. An atom has an immense inner reality, just like a human does. The physical size is totally irrelevant to the intensity of the consciousness inside it.
That really flips the script. We usually think of the conscious mind as the captain of the ship and the subconscious as this dark basement where we store our fears and traumas. But Seth is saying the conscious mind is just the skin of the apple. The real power, the nuclear power, is in the core.
It suggests that the you that you identify with is just the interface layer. It's the dashboard. But the engine, the battery, the fuel, that's all happening in the inner self, in that nucleus. And that nucleus is connected to all the other nuclei. It's a network.
And that power, that radiation, is what creates our physical reality, which brings us, rather abruptly, back to Jane's physical reality on that specific Monday night.
The crash landing back into the mundane.
Yes, from the structure of the cosmos to a lump on the wrist.
Let's set the stage for the case of the wrist nodule. Jane is freaking out.
She is. And, I mean, understandably so. She has this hard lump on her left wrist. She went to a chiropractor earlier that day.
Right.
And the chiropractor, probably just making conversation or trying to be helpful, says, oh, yes, it is an arthritic nodule.
Oof. The A word. That's a heavy one.
For Jane, that was a heavy blow. She hates the idea of arthritis. It implies restriction, pain, getting old, all this stuff.
All her fears wrapped up in one word.
So she comes home in a panic. She writes out this list of questions for Seth about it. She's essentially waiting for the grim diagnosis from the spirit world. She wants to know if this is her fate.
And this is where the session takes a turn from metaphysics to what I would call cosmic ergonomics. Because Seth does not indulge the panic.
So what does he say? Does he confirm the doom and gloom?
He immediately dismisses it. He says, and he's very direct, quote, "The formation on the wrist is not arthritic. You may repeat the statement for him to read."
So not arthritis. Phew. Then what is it?
It's the typewriter.
The typewriter. I love it.
It is a repetitive stress injury, an ergonomic injury. Seth explains, with surprising mechanical detail, that Jane had started using a second typewriter. It was an older machine that they had sitting around, and she wanted to save wear and tear on their main typewriter.
A noble goal. Trying to be frugal, protect their assets.
Sure, but the keys were spaced differently on the old machine. And Seth says, the automatic wrist motion that he regularly uses in his touch typing was knocked askew.
So she was typing with her muscle memory for the new machine, but on the old machine.
Exactly. And because the spacing was off, she was using erratic pressure and just straining the joint. The lump wasn't a disease, it was just an irritation from bad form.
I love the contrast here. We were just discussing how atoms have a voluntary social life and the universe is a camouflage pattern. And now Seth is effectively saying, Jane, stop using the crappy typewriter. Your ergonomics are bad.
It grounds the material, doesn't it? It shows that not everything is some past life karma or a deep spiritual crisis. Sometimes you're just sitting in a bad chair or using the wrong tool for the job. It's practical.
It's a great reminder that while we are spiritual beings, we are also biomechanical beings. And if you use the machine wrong, the machine complains.
And his prescription is so simple. Use the regular typewriter. And crucially, do not dwell on the irritation.
And that do not dwell part is the bridge, isn't it? It leads to the next and probably the most serious part of the session. Because while the cause of the lump was simple, the reaction to it was very, very dangerous.
This is where we get into the fist of fear.
Yes. Seth takes this opportunity to launch a really significant critique of the medical interaction Jane had. He says she had every right to be angry at that chiropractor.
Because of the suggestion he planted.
Exactly. Seth talks about the mystical validity we grant to doctors. When a person in a white coat or a healer of any kind says something, we tend to accept it as absolute truth.
It bypasses our critical filter. It goes straight into the belief system.
It does. And Seth breaks down the loop of what happened. You have Jane, the patient. She's already emotionally upset and fearful about this lump. She goes to the doctor. The doctor is likely tired, maybe a bit defensive.
And Seth mentions telepathy here again, doesn't he? It's not just a verbal thing.
He does. He says the doctor telepathically picks up on the patient's subconscious dread. The patient is projecting, I'm afraid this is something bad. I'm afraid it's arthritis. The doctor picks that up. And to defend himself, to get that negative energy away from himself, he verbalizes it. He says it's an arthritic nodule.
So he validates her fear just to get it out of the room.
Subconsciously, yes. It's a defense mechanism for the doctor. Seth says, unthinking suggestions such as his, made with only the flimsiest of evidence, can be most harmful and destructive.
It's a vicious cycle. Patient fears X. Doctor senses the fear of X. Doctor confirms X. Patient believes X is now a fact.
And this is where it gets scary. Because Seth explains how fear actually creates disease. He uses this phrase, inner pockets of fear hold back needed energy.
This is the mechanics of the nocebo effect, basically.
Exactly.
Imagine a river of energy flowing through your body, keeping everything repaired and healthy. That's your natural state. Fear acts like a dam. It blocks the flow. Seth calls fear a short-circuit mechanism.
So the body wants to repair the wrist. It knows exactly how to fix the irritation from the typewriter. The atoms know what to do.
Right. They're ready to go. But the energy needed for that repair is being hoarded by the fear. The fear creates a contraction. Seth says, needed energy is held back in the fist of fear.
The fist of fear. That is such a visceral, powerful image.
It is. It's like it's physically gripping the energy, preventing it from going where it's needed. And because the energy is blocked, the body tries to compensate chemically. It overexerts itself in other ways. And this creates a functional disorder.
So if Jane had accepted the doctor's suggestion, if she had walked out of there and said, okay, I have arthritis, and lived in that fear, what would have happened?
Seth is very clear on this. He says, suggestion could turn a relatively harmless formation into an arthritic condition.
So her belief would have made it real.
The expectation, fueled by her fear, would have manufactured the arthritis out of a simple bump.
That is profound. It means we aren't just passive victims of disease. We are active participants in the manifestation of it, largely through our expectations and our fear.
Seth says, expectation poorly used can turn a harmless irregularity into a functional disorder. It's a warning. If you believe you are sick, your body will work very, very hard to make you right.
It's almost like the body follows the mind's instructions, even if those instructions are destroy this joint.
Exactly. The body tries to align with your beliefs. If you believe you are arthritic, the body says, okay, Captain, let's start calcifying this joint.
And it reminds me of another part of the same session where Seth talks about latent diseases.
Yes. He says we all have latent leanings toward various diseases based on our genetics, our early conditioning, our environment. They're just sitting there dormant in our code.
But they don't have to manifest. They're not a death sentence.
No. They're just possibilities. They only manifest when we have imperfections in manipulation, like the bad typing combined with the fear that blocks the repair energy. If you remove the fear, the body handles the imperfection. If you add the fear, the latent disease wakes up.
It's a powerful argument for managing your emotional state as part of your physical health regimen. It's not just about diet and exercise. It's about what suggestions you are accepting.
Absolutely. Seth says, efficiency may be developed through understanding. The more you understand that you are creating your physical image, the less you will be governed by these random fears. You stop being a victim of your own body.
I want to read a specific quote here because it's just so good. Seth says, when it is understood that man creates not only matter but his own physical image as well, greater attention will be given so that early fear patterns of such extent will not develop.
We are the architects of our own bodies. That's the takeaway. We aren't just tenants. We are the landlords and the maintenance crew.
So we've covered the telepathic tub, the conscious atom, and the fist of fear. As we kind of wrap up the session analysis, there are a few smaller but important points Seth touches on.
He mentions psychological time, which was an exercise Jane practiced, a sort of meditative trance state. He's pleased she's doing it again. And he notes that her results are better because she stopped demanding results.
The classic paradox of effort. When you stop trying so hard, it works better.
Exactly. It's a lesson in letting go. When she pushed, she got nothing. When she relaxed, she got results. It perfectly parallels the typewriter issue. When she forced the keys, she got a lump. When she flows naturally, she stays healthy.
And he also touches on their general health. He points out that Rob and Jane have had some minor symptoms, yawns, little aches, but that these are just annoyances. He reframes them. He says, good health is just as much a result of this interaction as bad health.
Meaning the mind-body connection isn't just for making us sick, it's also what keeps us well every single day.
It's always running. We just notice it when it breaks. But the same mechanism that creates the fist of fear also creates the hand of healing, if you want to call it that.
Right. Every time you cut your finger and it heals without you thinking about it, that's your atoms engaging in value fulfillment. That's your consciousness directing repair. We take it for granted, but it's a miracle happening every second.
So let's try to synthesize all of this. This has been a really wide-ranging session, from hurricanes to wrists. What does this all mean for you listening at home?
I think there are three big takeaways. First, from the dream segment, we are more connected than we think. We are constantly sharing information on a subconscious level. So if you have a weird dream, don't just dismiss it. It might be a garbled message from a friend, or you might be picking up on a Marie in your life.
It suggests we should be more curious about our dreams, not just as internal psychoanalysis, but as potential communication.
Exactly.
Second takeaway.
From the physics segment, the universe is alive. Matter is conscious. It has intent. We aren't alone in a dead universe. We are surrounded by a cooperative intelligence.
Yeah.
Your desk, your chair, your coffee cup, they are all participating in existence with you. It makes the world feel a little friendlier, doesn't it?
It does. And the third.
The most practical one, I think. Watch your fear. Be very, very careful about the suggestions you accept from authority figures. If a doctor gives you a grim prognosis, respect their expertise, but don't let their words become a fist of fear that blocks your own healing capacity.
Don't let the label become the reality.
That's it. And check your typewriter spacing.
And check your typewriter spacing.
Ergonomics matter. Don't ignore the physical world just because you're studying the spiritual one.
It really is a comprehensive philosophy, isn't it? It covers the soul and the wrist joint.
It does. It integrates everything.
Now, if you found this deep dive interesting, if you're intrigued by the idea that your atoms are having a party and your dreams are basically a conference call, you need to go to the source.
Absolutely. We are just scratching the surface of what is in the Seth Material. This was just one session out of hundreds. There are thousands and thousands of pages of this stuff.
We want to give full credit to the Seth Material and the publisher, New Awareness Network. None of this insight would be available without their incredible work in preserving and publishing these sessions.
And if you want to read the original text, which I highly, highly recommend because Seth's voice is unique, it has a rhythm and a humor that we can only try to emulate, you should visit the New Awareness Network website and bookstore at sethcenter.com/the early sessions.
Go buy the books, put them on your shelf. Let their atoms mingle with your atoms.
Support the preservation of this material. It's important history.
Before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought, a little provocation for your week.
Go for it.
We talked about how fear acts as a short circuit, how it can turn a harmless lump into arthritis through the power of adverse expectation.
Right. The blocking of energy.
So my question is this. If your fear can physically manufacture a disease, what good things could you physically manifest if you use that same power of expectation for repair instead of dread?
That's the question, isn't it? If the mechanism works one way, it has to work the other. The machinery is neutral.
If you can worry yourself sick, can you wonder yourself well?
I think you can. And remember, even your atoms are having a party inside you right now. Try to be a good host.
I love that. Be a good host to your atoms. Thanks for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.
See you next time.